G'day guys, and welcome to another YouTube lesson. Today we're taking a look at the third topic, business planning of the Year 11 course. And we're going to be looking at the syllabus of this business planning topic. We're almost done, almost on to Year 12. Bit of a scary thought. So as we've discussed with previous syllabuses, there's two parts to the syllabus. The students learn to and the students learn about. Now the textbooks primarily 100% focus on the students learn about. That's what teachers explicitly teach to you, and they tend to be in order with those syllabus dot points. The other part of the syllabus, the students learn to, these are things that you should, as a student, be able to do once we've gone through all of those students learn about. In theory, we've taught you about the content. Now, your test, can you do this? Students should be able to do these other particular dot points. Now, I'm not going to make any promises that they're going to be in any assessments. However, often these students learn to, maybe a third of the time thereabouts, they're pretty close to exact questions that you'll find somewhere scattered throughout your assessment. So don't ignore them. It's important to know all your students learn about, as you would be, and highlighting them off and checking you understand them, but also make sure you as a student understand and can answer each of those students learn to. If you can't, come and see me. All right, so in terms of the students learn to, there are seven students learn to for this particular topic. The first one here is to discuss, which looks at the good and or bad, discuss the influence of government on SMEs. Remember, SMEs, those small to medium enterprises. The second dot point is to assess the effect of two changes in the business environment on SMEs. All right, the third dot point of the students learn to explain how the business plan is determined in at least one SME. So have a case study, explain how the business plan is determined in at least one of these small to medium enterprises. Fourth dot point the students learn to explain how SMEs can enter the global market for the long term. The fifth and the third last dot point student learn to identify ways that SMEs gain a competitive advantage. All right, and the last two dot points that you will see with this is prepare a small business plan. Okay, prepare a plan for a small business based on a hypothetical or actual business and present in a business plan or report format. So if you can do all of those seven particular student learn tos, then you should feel comfortable that any particular questions or assessments that might pop up, you'll be fine with. All right, now the rich content from your textbooks and what I'll be going through in class with you, and what these these additional YouTubes will be about, is the students learn about. So what you need to do is to look at small to medium enterprises for the first of these dot points and define what an SME is. Remember, small businesses are 19 or less employees, whereas medium businesses have anywhere from 20 to 199 workers, and therefore that's our definition of SMEs. There's other things too, like turnover and so on, but we define a small to medium enterprise. We take a look at the role of an SME. What's its job? What is an SME there to do? We look at the contribution that an SME makes to the economy. What economic contribution do these small to medium businesses, enterprises, make to the Australian economy? Balance of payments, GDP, employment opportunities for Aussies, what do they do? And the final thing we look at is the success and or failure of our small to medium enterprises. So there are many things that can help a business increase their chance of success, but most SMEs fail within the first 5 years, anywhere up to 75%. So we look at those factors, those things that contribute to success and or failure of a small to medium enterprise. Then we look at the influences in establishing a small to medium enterprise. Look at all the particular things that will impact on the setting up of these SMEs. We take a look at personal qualities, qualifications, skills, motivation, entrepreneurship, cultural background, and gender. We'll look at where you can gain access to sources of information, find out information about your business, things that can assist you being able to set up your business. We'll look at this concept here of the business idea. This is the light bulb moment. What things could you be producing, could you be making? And that's very relevant to another dot point, competition. And competition, if someone else already has that business idea, it's going to be hard for you to enter the market. So look at your rivals, your competition. We'll look at the three different establishment options. You've got, when you're starting up a new business, whether it be large, but in the year 11 context, small to medium enterprises, we take a look at those three key establishment options. Set up a new business, and there's advantages and disadvantages with that. We look at purchasing an existing business and the pros and cons of that. And we take a look at another alternative of setting up a business establishment option, buying a franchise. And there's very good merits for that, but sometimes that's not so successful either. You're constantly paying money to the franchisor. Now we look at markets and marketplaces. It says market in the syllabus, but it really is marketing. We look at goods and or services. So I guess here we're sort of looking for market or marketing, three of the four main P's. Goods and or services in terms of marketing is looking at the actual product itself, be a good or a service. We look at the price involved in marketing and how that price determines whether your product is successful. To lower price, lots of people will buy it, but each unit you sell, you lose money. To higher price, and no one will purchase your product, or very few, and it will not be successful too. These are big influences. And we look at location, which is the place or the distribution of your product. Now we look at another business function after that, finance. And we look at where you can source, where you can get your finance from, and also the cost of finance, interest rates, other expenses that you would need to pay. All right, next we take a look at legal and these legal influences. And we're looking at a few main legal impacts, but the main ones in year 11 are the actual business name. Do you need one? For a small business, yes and no. If you're just going to use your own name, then that's fine. But if you're going to have any change to your name or have a partnership or something like that, then yes, you will need to register a business name. Zoning, residential, shops, commercial, factories, industrial. You can only build certain types of dwellings, shops, etc. in areas zoned correctly, and that's a local council decision. So you need to comply with that. Health and other regulations are very important for businesses, especially restaurants and food related industries. So they're very important legal facets to deal with as well. Look at HR, another key business function in the year 11, and in particular soon for you guys, the year 12 course. Look at the skills, the costs, wage and non-wage. And we take a look here at what skills are needed for HR, the costs associated with monetary rewards or monetary payments, salaries and wages is the wage part. The non-wage part are those other on costs, things like company cars and so on. We're looking at taxation as the next student learn about dot point. And there's three different levels of government that you should know about by now. What are those levels? You tell me. Top one, federal or Commonwealth, good. Middle level, state, good. and the bottom level, local government, also called council. So we have a look at the different taxes that the federal government levy on business, the state government do, and also those local rates and charges that our mates at the council put on us as well. Now, the next part is the business planning process. And we take a look here at the source of planning ideas. How do we gather this information? Well, we take a look, and all of this sort of stuff here is part of our business plan. We start with a situational analysis, and we have our SWOT analysis, okay, and we also have our business or product life cycle. That's the first step there in that business plan. Then we look at vision, goals and or objectives, the second step in our business plan. So from source of planning ideas through to vision, organizing resources, forecasting, monitoring and evaluations, and the final step, taking corrective action, those 6 or 7, they're part of a business plan. And this is what the large part, not the whole thing, but a large part of this particular syllabus is about. It's about creating and setting up a business plan. That starts with that source of planning ideas. There's a saying out there, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And that's pretty accurate. 75% of small and medium enterprises fail in the first 5 years. If you have no plan, then you're pretty much guaranteeing to be part of one of those failing businesses. Having a plan doesn't guarantee success, but increases the odds. Now, the second step after that source of planning ideas and a situational analysis is vision, goals, and or objectives. Here we look at a vision of a business, their business goals, and their long-term growth that they want to achieve. The next step in this planning process is organising your resources. Well, what resources do you have? There's 4 main functions, and you are coordinating, organising these resources. A lot of the information for this part of the course we've looked at in bits and pieces earlier on, so you should have some knowledge. You can organise the operational resources, your marketing resources, your financial resources, and also your key ones, your human resources. How you use those, organise those, coordinate those, really can lead to a successful business or not. And that is the next step in this business planning process. Now, another key step, thing you need to do in a business plan is to forecast. So we'll be looking at forecasting, which is the total revenue of a business, how much sales are generated, the total cost, that's fixed cost and variable. We'll be teaching you and looking at break-even analysis. That's a point at where your total revenue equals your total cost and you're no longer making a loss. You're not making a profit either. But at what quantity of computers, rings, watches, what quantity of something do you need to sell to start not making a loss? All right, and that's where break-even happens, and that's that break-even analysis. Good fun, perhaps not. And we look at cash flow projections. We've looked at cash flow statements before, but cash flow projections are just this, but projecting your future cash flow. So you can try and minimize any liquidity issues. All right, we're going to take a look at monitoring and evaluating. So very important when you have all these things in place, but you need to be able to look at what's happening, and you need to be able to evaluate whether it's been done successfully and what changes need to be made, and that'll be the next step, taking corrective action. So monitoring and evaluations, we look at sales, budgets, and profit monitoring and analysis. From all of those 3 things, sales, budgets, and profits, we can see, well, has it been good for this business? Has it worked well? Has things gone to what we expected? If not, the last part of the planning process is to take corrective action. So from the syllabus, taking corrective action, to take corrective action to fix, amend anything that is not traveling as well as we'd wanted. Almost there. The last part of the course all of year 11, the last part, almost there, thank God, is critical issues in business success and failure. What stuff really helps us succeed? What stuff really helps us reduce that chance of failure? The importance of a business plan. Well, I've said before, and I'll try not to muddle it up. If you fail to plan, then you essentially plan to fail. So without a business plan, you are going to increase your chance of failure, reduce your chance of success. We'll look at management, staffing and teams, and how effective management will increase the chance of success and reduce the chance of failure. We'll take a look at trend analysis. What this is trying to identify patterns. If you're looking at, say, an income statement and the amount of profit that's being made last year compared to the year before, compared to this year, and you're seeing it was 5 million, now your profit's 3 million, now your profit is 1 million. If you just looked at this year's $1 million profit, that looks great. But that's not the trend. The pattern we're seeing is declining net profit. That's an issue and a worry. So by analysing, looking at trends, at things that we can see over time, then we're able to better increase our chance of success. If that's declining, why? What can we do to address that? And that'll reduce your chance of failure. Almost there. Identifying and sustaining a competitive advantage. A competitive advantage is what you have, what I've got, compared to my rivals. What makes my business and my products different to my rivals? What gives me that edge, that advantage, a competitive advantage? So you need to identify that in your business and try and focus on that. And then you need to, here's the hard part though, sustain that over a long period of time. If you can do that, you can carve out a little niche for yourself and you can continue with that, something different to your rivals, then you should increase your chance of success and reduce your chance of failure. Now, avoiding overextension of finance and other resources is your third last point. And really, if you don't overextend with finance, if you don't go and take out too big a loan that you can't service, which means you're not making enough profit and money to be able to pay the interest on that loan, if you're not doing that, and you're making sure you're okay, then you're going to increase your chance of success. One of the biggest things leading to failure for an SME is that they take out too big a loan and they can't pay it back, they can't service it. All right, we'll look at the use of technology and how that will be effective in increasing a chance of success, and capital labour substitution. All right, and it is very important technology, but again, you can overcommit with your finance sometimes by purchasing this expensive capital technology, and that can be an issue too. It's balancing. And the last thing we'll look at here is economic conditions, and that's something you don't really get to choose. We don't. It's just a bit of luck. You know, at the moment, how's our economy travelling? Well, it's not the worst, but it's certainly not booming like it was probably, you know, throughout most of the 90s and the early 2000s. All right, so we'll have a look at that and how that impacts, influences a business's chance of success or failure. All right, guys, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.